All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into a world where AI and music collide in the most unexpected way imaginable. We're talking about Gibbercore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that right, Gibbercore. It's a genre that throws out the rule book, blends chaotic sounds with these, well, let's just say, unique lyrics, and creates visuals that are like straight out of a fever dream.
It's wild, it's experimental, it's definitely not for everyone, but it just might be a glimpse into the future of art.
I am so ready for this. And to help us navigate this sonic and visual landscape, we've got a collection of sources that are just as bizarre as the genre itself. Think scattered notes, cryptic text files, and even what looks like, I don't know, song lyrics, if you can even call them that.
Yeah, the source material is pretty out there, kind of like Gibbercore itself. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Break free from the expected.
Yeah.
Throw out the rule book, the rational even. It's about saying yes to the chaos and just letting those creative sparks fly.
Love it. So where do we even begin with something like this? I mean, what is Gibbercore?
Well, before we get lost in the gibberish, I think it's important to understand where this whole thing came from, the context. Gibbercore, it emerged as a reaction against a couple of major trends happening in music and art. On the one hand, you've got this feeling that, modern music has become too predictable, too polished, too driven by algorithms.
Right, like it's all been optimized for mass appeal, leaving no room for the weird, the experimental.
Exactly, and that's where the core part of Gibbercore comes in. It's like a nod to those rebellious, anti-establishment music genres like, hardcore, grindcore. It's about reclaiming that raw, unfiltered energy.
Okay, I'm feeling the rebellion already. But what about the gibberish part? I mean, that's got to be a pretty central piece of the puzzle, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where we see the other trend that Gibbercore is pushing back against, this fear of AI in art. Some people worry that AI will replace human artists, like make them obsolete. But Gibbercore says, no way. AI can be a tool, a collaborator.
So it's like saying, let's see what happens when we team up with AI, throw out the rule book, and just see what kind of crazy creative stuff comes out.
Precisely. And that brings us to the heart of Gibbercore. The embrace of nonsense, the rejection of logic, this idea that meaning, it can emerge from the seemingly meaningless. One of the sources even uses the phrase gibber to the core to describe it.
Gib to the core. I love that. It's like a rallying cry for anyone who feels stifled by, the rules of traditional art.
Absolutely. And that rebellious spirit, it manifests itself in every aspect of the genre, from the music itself to the visuals, the lyrics, the whole shebang.
Okay, so we've got the context, we've got the rebellion, we've got the AI connection, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What does Gibbercore actually sound like?
Close your eyes and imagine listening to a song that suddenly shifts, like out of nowhere, from a sweet melodic passage to an explosion of, digital
A
noise.
sonic roller coaster with no safety harness.
Exactly. It's not easy listening. It's meant to challenge you, make you feel something, even if you're not quite sure what that feeling is.
So what are we talking about here? What kind of musical mishmash are we dealing with?
The music is often described as this, fusion of genres, right? You've got jazz, funk, stoner rock, grindcore. Think of all that thrown into a blender, hit puree, and then processed through an AI filter.
And I'm guessing those rhythms aren't exactly your typical four-on-the-floor beat.
Nope. Gibbercore rhythms, they're complex, AI-generated. They defy traditional musical structures, create this sense of disorientation. It's like off-kilter, but in a good way.
And then there are the lyrics, or should I say the gibberish lyrics, because we know these aren't your typical sing-along lyrics, right?
Right. Think of them more like sonic elements, carefully chosen for, their sound and emotional impact.
Yeah.
Creating a visceral experience, triggering feelings, not necessarily conveying any literal meaning.
It's like they're using sound to tap into something primal, something that exists beyond, language and logic.
Exactly. And to give you a taste of what I mean, here's a sample lyric from one of the sources. Ta-ta-ta-ta, hefifip-beep, mel-mel-mel-mel-mel-mel, herdash. Texan, truxerd. Kanori stons in naparani, hush-hush-hush, kavor.
It's like poetry from another dimension. It's so wild.
It is wild, but you can sense a rhythm to it, a musicality, even if it's gibberish.
So there is a method to the madness.
Absolutely. Gibbercore artists, they're incredibly intentional about their craft. They're not just throwing random sounds together. They're crafting these sonic landscapes to evoke specific emotions, humor, unease, a sense of awe.
So how do they do it? What are the tools and techniques behind Gibbercore music? That's what I want to know.
Well, that brings us to the next level of our deep dive, the actual process of creating Gibbercore music. So how does one actually make this stuff? Gibbercore music, I mean. Is it all just algorithms spitting out random noise? Or is there, like a human touch involved?
Right, because we've been talking about AI and gibberish, but it's obvious there's some artistry to this whole thing. Like, it's not just chaos for the sake of chaos.
Right. It's this delicate balance between, you know, human creativity and AI as a tool. It's more of a collaboration, I think, where the AI generates these raw materials and then the human artist steps in and shapes it all into a cohesive, albeit unconventional piece of music.
Okay, so what are these raw materials we're talking about?
Well, the sources mention several AI-powered tools, like programs like Sunoit and Udio. They use neural networks to create these things called generative synthesizers.
Generative synthesizers. Okay, I'm going to need a little more on that one. How are those different from, like, regular synthesizers?
Think about it this way. Traditional synthesizers, they rely on pre-programmed sounds, parameters set by the user. But generative synthesizers, they use algorithms to create sounds in real time, often based on these massive data sets of existing music or sounds.
So it's like the AI is learning from all this existing music and then using what it's learned to create something totally new and different.
Exactly. And because AI is constantly learning, evolving, the sounds it generates are often, well, surprising, unpredictable. You can get these like weird, otherworldly textures that you wouldn't be able to create with like a regular synth.
Which explains why Gibbercore music often sounds so, well, alien.
Right. And it's not just the synths. Gibbercore artists also use a lot of sound manipulation, adding glitches, reverbs, distortions, anything that adds to the sonic tapestry, really.
It's like they're taking those everyday sounds that we usually try to avoid, like a creaking door or the hum of a computer, and they're like, hey, that's music.
Precisely. And then there are the vocals. I'm guessing Gibbercore singers aren't exactly, belting out traditional melodies.
Yeah, judging by the lyrics we've seen so far, not so much. So what do Gibbercore vocals sound like?
Think less about singing and more about using the voice as an instrument, exploring the full range of human sound. Sighs, moans, stretched vowels, even glitched out vocal samples.
Like those extended vocal techniques you hear in, like, experimental music, but taken to a whole other level.
Exactly. And one source actually mentioned that AI is helping artists overcome the fear of performing these unconventional vocals. Like, it's easier to experiment when you're not worried about sounding good in the traditional sense.
To get that, it's like the AI provides a layer of separation,
Wow.
allows for more risk-taking and experimentation.
Right. So we've got the AI-powered synths, the sound manipulation, the, let's call them unique vocals. But what about the lyrics? How do you even approach writing lyrics when the goal is to create something, well, nonsensical?
Yeah, how do they do it?
One of the sources put it really well. The lyrics come from the heart. It's not about conveying a specific message. It's about expressing emotions through sound, meaning through the sounds themselves.
So it's like finding the musicality in gibberish, tapping into the rhythm and flow of sounds, even when they don't form, actual words.
Exactly. And they often use techniques like onomatopoeia, where words imitate sounds to create a more visceral experience.
Like that example they gave. Skra, screw, emrembrem, skrnirk, irksulch. It's definitely not Shakespeare, but you can almost hear the music in it.
Right, and that's the magic of Gibbercore lyrics. They may seem random, but they're actually carefully crafted to create a very specific sonic and emotional impact.
Like, there's thought behind it, artistic intention. It's not just, smashing your face on the keyboard, which honestly makes me want to dive deeper into these lyrics we keep talking about. Like, what kind of lyrical landscapes are we about to encounter?
Buckle up, because we are about to enter the sonic abyss of Gibbercore lyrics. Ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Hit me with your best gibberish.
All right, let's start with a piece titled Nino Herdless. Even the title is intriguing, right? It's like this mix of recognizable words and then pure gibberish.
Yeah, like, it's trying to communicate something, but the message is just out of reach.
Right, like this invitation to, I don't know, engage with the art on multiple levels, look for connections and hidden meanings, even if they're not explicitly there.
Okay, let's hear it. What sonic adventures await us in Nino Herdless?
All right, the opening line is simply, retreat. It's a primal scream, pure energy and emotion, setting the tone for what's to come.
Wow, that's direct. It's like a burst of pure energy, unfiltered and raw.
And then, right after that intense outburst, we get a drum solo. Like, no time wasted, straight into the heart of it. Pure, unadulterated rhythm.
Starting off with a bang. It's interesting, though, that even though the lyrics are nonsensical, there's still a sense of structure, like a musicality to it.
Right. That's what makes Gibbercore so fascinating. It's chaotic and unpredictable, but there's a deliberate artistry at work.
Okay, so what comes after the drum solo?
This repeated phrase, erdlerdlerdlerdless. It's like a mantra, This nonsensical word just repeated over and over, and it just keeps building in intensity.
I don't know why, but that word, even though it has no meaning, gives me a certain feeling. Like it's unsettling, claustrophobic, like being trapped in a loop of sound.
That's the power of sound. Even without meaning, it can tap into our emotions and create a very specific atmosphere.
Okay, we've got the primal scream, the drum solo, and the unsettling mantra. Where do we go from here?
Things take a turn towards the absurd with the next section. Gurkalo, 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 gurkalo.
It almost sounds Italian, like a made-up word for some kind of pasta or something.
It does have a certain Italian flair, right? And remember, we mentioned earlier that some of the visuals reference Italian culture. Maybe there's a connection there, like a subtle nod to the origins of the genre.
A secret code embedded within the music. I love it.
It's fun to think about, right? So, moving on, we get another repeated phrase, even more nonsensical. Kavun kavu kavugliadacia fecca dinsecaduns. And this one ends with this exclamation, Irori rori three ro, irori ori rori rori.
It's like a sonic explosion. It's crazy how they can take these seemingly random sounds and create such a sense of drama and intensity.
Right. And notice how that exclamation is followed by a series of phrases. It adds this frantic, almost desperate energy to the mix.
It's like the music is expressing something that words can't quite capture. Like raw emotion, pure feeling.
Exactly. And then, as if things couldn't get any weirder, we get this series of sounds.
Okay, that's just bizarre. It's like keyboard cat having a seizure. But even in its absurdity, there's that sense of rhythm, of musicality.
And then, just when you think you've heard it all, we get chaparral.
Chaparora. What does that even mean?
Absolutely nothing. But the way it's repeated, building in intensity, creates the sense of urgency, like something is happening, but we have no idea what it is.
It's like a sonic Rorschach test. You hear these sounds and you project your own meaning onto them. You create your own narrative.
Right. That's the brilliance of Gibbercore. It's not about giving you a pre-packaged message, It's about giving you the tools to create your own meaning, have your own unique experience.
Nino Herdless is definitely a wild ride. It's intense, absurd, thought-provoking. What other lyrical adventures await us?
Well, there's Kulem, which features, as you might have guessed, lots of Kulem exclamations.
Sensing a theme here. Repetition, onomatopoeia. It's like they're using these techniques to create a specific mood, a feeling.
Absolutely. It's about bypassing the rational mind and connecting with something deeper, more primal. And coolem, even though it's not a real word, evokes a feeling of coolness, detachment, like being unfazed by the chaos around you.
It's the sonic equivalent of sunglasses in a leather jacket, right? Just cool confidence in the face of the absurd. So what comes after all that coolness?
It transitions into this chant-like thing, Kalmaromo, Romo, almost ritualistic.
Like we're eavesdropping on some strange, otherworldly ceremony where gibberish is the language of the gods.
Then we get Mamu, Mama, Homu, Mamu, Mamu, nonsensical, but with a driving rhythm that pulls you in.
Like a language from a dream where logic and meaning have no hold.
And then things get interesting. That's
a mouthful. It's like a machine gun firing off syllables.
It does have that percussive energy, right? Almost violent.
And then it shifts again. SKSG, SKTD, SKKT, SKplart, LMLM, LMLML. It's like the soundscape is constantly changing, evolving.
And even though the sounds are completely nonsensical, you can sense that movement, that progression. It's not just random. There's deliberate structure, It's a sonic journey.
And there's a playfulness, too, like a sense of humor in the way these sounds are put together. Like they're playing with language, pushing it to its limits.
Gibbercore is not afraid to be silly, to embrace the absurd. It's about breaking free from the constraints of seriousness, having fun with it.
This is amazing. It's like listening to an alien language, but somehow it's incredibly musical.
And that's what makes Gibbercore so unique, right? It challenges our whole idea of what music and language can be.
So we've got Kulem, which is like Cool and detached Nino Herdless, which is chaotic and intense. What other flavors of Gibbercore are we going to try?
Well, there's Ezigazo, which has a totally different energy. It's playful, whimsical, almost like a sonic bouncy castle.
Ezigazo. That sounds like a cartoon character.
Right, and the lyrics are equally lighthearted. It starts with this long, drawn-out followed by fucker, 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 the fucker, the fucker, the fucker, really fucker.
It's like a tongue twister on steroids.
And it just keeps going from there with phrases like boop, boop, potty bop, Franz, toots.
Like a baby's first words, but set to a funky beat.
And then we get bribber, 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 repeated over and over, building this like playful, almost hypnotic rhythm.
It's so catchy. I can't help but bob my head along.
And then it transitions into hustle, 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 hustle. Charles, hustle, 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 merge. It's like a call and a response, but with made-up words.
And notice those random interjections. Jor Mert. It adds to the playfulness, the absurdity of it all.
Ezigazo is definitely a fun one. It's like pure joy expressed through nonsensical sounds.
Right. It's a reminder that Gibbercore isn't always about being weird and unsettling. It can be lighthearted, fun too.
Exactly. It's about exploring the full spectrum of human emotion, and using whatever sonic tools are available. All right, what other Gibbercore masterpieces do we have to explore?
Well, we've got Bob Marble, which starts off with a series of R-U-U-U sounds. Getting Tarzan vibes from this one.
It's definitely a primal call, something that seems to come from deep within. And then it goes into A-U, 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 A, A, A-U, I, A, A-U, A-U, A-E, A, A-E, A, A-A, A-U. It's like a musical conversation between different parts of the self.
Okay, then we hit the first verse. Nino, 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 nano, 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 Nino, nano, Nino, no, 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 Nino, no, no, Nino.
Quite a mouthful, isn't it?
I'm getting a headache just reading that. But it's fascinating how, these nonsensical words, when put together in a certain way, they start to sound like an actual language.
It's like our brains are trying to make sense of it. Find patterns and meaning where there are none.
Bob and Marble seems to have a more defined structure than some of the others we've looked at, though. Like, there are verses, bridges, even a chorus.
That's right. And the chorus is actually quite catchy. Ren dun dun day, ren dun dun, go grow, 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 grow.
Ren dun 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 dun. I can't get it out of my head. It's like a gibberish earworm.
That's the power of music, right? Even when the lyrics make no sense, it can bypass our rational mind and connect with us on a much deeper level.
So, Bobby Marble is structured like a traditional song, but with gibberish lyrics. What other surprises does Gibbercore have for us?
Well, there's one more piece in the sources that I think we need to talk about. Melany.
Melany. That sounds kind of cute.
It does, doesn't it? But don't let the title fool you. This one's a bit of a trip. It's both beautiful and unsettling all at the same time.
Okay, you got my attention. Take us there.
It starts with this, like, long, drawn-out...
Wow. It's like a sonic tapestry, like being woven before our very ears.
And notice how even though the sounds are abstract, you still get that sense of movement, like a story being told without the need for actual words.
Like it's the soundtrack to a movie that doesn't exist, just playing out in our imaginations.
And then, just when you think it's going to explode into total chaos, it shifts.
Is like a flock of birds, all these different sounds just swirling around each other, creating this feeling of movement and freedom.
And then it transitions again. Even more intricate, more layered.
It's a symphony of gibberish, like a masterpiece of nonsensical sounds, each layer adding a new dimension to the sonic landscape.
And then, just when you think it's about to climax, it drops to a whisper.
followed by this burst of laughter. It's like this release of tension, a moment of pure joy after all that sonic intensity. Like the music itself is laughing at the absurdity of it all.
And then it goes into
My brain is officially melting. It's like a language being spoken backwards, but it's still somehow so musical. How do they even come up with this stuff?
Right, that's the magic of it. Taking something nonsensical and turning it into something beautiful and expressive.
And then, of course, another drum solo. Is there any Gibbercore piece that doesn't have a drum solo?
It's like a core element of the genre at this point, that pure energy, the rhythm that drives the music forward, gives it a sense of grounding amidst all the chaos.
And then it just keeps going, building in complexity and intensity until this, like, final, almost operatic crescendo. It's like the culmination of everything we've heard so far. All the different elements of Gibbercore coming together in a grand finale.
It's quite the sonic roller coaster, isn't it? Taking us through this whole range of emotions, challenging our very perception of what music can be.
Okay, Melany is definitely a journey. Beautiful, strange, unsettling. It's everything Gibbercore is supposed to be. We've explored a handful of these examples from the sources, but it feels like there's a whole universe of Gibbercore lyrics out there. What have we learned from this deep dive into gibberish? What does it all mean?
I think the big takeaway is that Gibbercore is way more than just nonsense. It's an artistic choice, a way of exploring the boundaries of language and music. It's about embracing the absurd, finding beauty in the unexpected, letting go of the need for everything to make sense. And it's a reminder that AI isn't necessarily a threat to creativity, but it can actually be a powerful tool for exploring new artistic territory.
So Gibbercore is like a rebellion against the mundane, a celebration of the strange and beautiful, and maybe a peek into the future of art in the age of AI.
Exactly. It's a reminder that creativity doesn't have any boundaries. The human imagination, with a little help from AI, can create some truly amazing things.
I think we've officially gibbered to the core today.
Indeed we have. But we've only explored one side of Gibbercore, the audio side. There's a whole visual element to this genre that we haven't even touched on yet. And that's a journey we're going to embark on in part 3 of our deep dive.
Until then, listeners, keep those gibberish sounds swirling around in your minds and let your imaginations run wild. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Gibbercore. So far, we've explored the sonic side of things, those mind-bending sounds and, well, those interesting lyrics. But Gibbercore is more than just about what you hear.
Right, it's a full-on sensory experience.
Exactly. We've been talking about these crazy visuals, and now it's time to, feast our eyes. So what kind of visual feast are we in for? What makes Gibbercore videos so unique?
Imagine a visual language that reflects the chaos and creativity of the music. It's surreal, unpredictable, often absurd, and always pushing those boundaries of what you expect from a music video.
All right, paint me a picture. What kind of scenes would I actually see in a typical Gibbercore video?
Okay, picture this. A van, like just a regular van, out of nowhere, slams right into a grand opera house in the middle of a performance.
Oh, wow.
The music stops, the audience is gasping, and it just keeps going, right through the stage.
Yeah. Okay, that's wild. It's like high culture meets total absurdity.
Right, creating that sense of disorientation, making the viewer question what they're seeing. Then, cut to a totally different scene. A rave, lights are flashing, energy is high, and there are these two elderly people decked out in neon tracksuits, and they're just casually handing out hallucinogens.
Okay, now that's both hilarious and a little creepy. Like they're taking these normal scenarios and twisting them into something, totally surreal and unexpected. And I'm guessing this is where the Sardinian man riding a penguin comes in.
You know it. That's a Gibbercore classic right there. The perfect blend of the mundane and the bizarre.
It's all starting to make sense now. The sources really emphasize that contrast, like these crazy visuals, but with really high production value.
Right. That's one of the key things about Gibbercore visuals, juxtaposing these bizarre images with this almost cinematic quality.
Yeah.
Vivid colors, realistic textures, advanced editing techniques, it all creates a really immersive experience.
So it's not just random images thrown together. It's deliberate. There's an artistry to it.
Definitely. And the sources suggest there's often a layer of social commentary, even political satire, woven into the visuals, too.
Like that image of Matteo Salvini as a monkey, laughing with other primates.
Yeah, that one's definitely making a statement. Open to interpretation, of course, but the use of satire and absurdity is a big part of Gibbercore, poking fun at those in power, challenging norms.
It's like they're holding up this weird, distorted mirror to society, making us question what we consider normal.
Exactly. Now, beyond those specific scenes, there are some recurring themes that pop up in a lot of Gibbercore videos. One of the sources calls it fluid metamorphica.
Fluid metamorphica. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
It's this idea of metamorphic fluidity, shape-shifting objects, things morphing into other things, like a melting clock from a Dali painting.
Okay, yeah, I see it. So we're talking shape-shifting objects, morphing, like defying the laws of physics, but all rendered in a way that makes it both captivating and a little unsettling.
Exactly. It's that dreamlike imagery where things get strange and the line between reality and fantasy blurs.
Okay, so we've got surreal scenes, morphing objects, those vivid colors. What about the overall editing style? How does that contribute to the aesthetic?
It's fast-paced, disorienting, lots of jump cuts, glitch effects, rapid-fire montages, creating a sense of sensory overload.
It's like the visual equivalent of those sudden tempo changes in the music, right? Keeping the viewer constantly off balance.
You got it. Mirroring that chaos and unpredictability of the music. But how do they actually make this stuff? What kind of technology are Gibbercore artists using?
That's what I'm wondering.
It's a mix of traditional filmmaking and then, cutting-edge AI tools. The sources mention programs like DaVinci Resolve for editing, but then also things like After Effects and Blender for those mind-bending special effects.
Right, and we know they're using those AI image generators, Stable Diffusion, Flux, to create those surreal landscapes and morphing objects.
It's like they're pushing the limits of what's possible with these tools, combining human creativity with the power of AI to create something truly new and different.
And one source even mentioned the potential of AI generating those sequences in real time, like evolving with the music.
Yeah, although the source says that technology is still in its early stages, the potential is huge. I mean, imagine a music video where the visuals are constantly changing, morphing, all in sync with the music. It'd be a totally immersive and unpredictable experience.
Okay, that's mind-blowing. It's exciting to think about what the future holds for Gibbercore and for art in general, as AI keeps evolving. But let's bring it back to the present for a second. We've explored the origins, the music, the visuals, the philosophy. What are the big takeaways from our deep dive into Gibbercore?
I think Gibbercore is more than just a trend. It's a shift in how we think about art, creativity, the role of AI in our lives.
It's a reminder that creativity doesn't have boundaries. The human imagination, augmented by AI, can create things we can barely even imagine.
Exactly. It challenges our ideas of what art should be, a celebration of the absurd and the unexpected. It's a rebellion against the mundane, and maybe a glimpse into a future where the lines between human and artificial creativity are blurred.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Gibbercore, I'm left with a sense of wonder, a feeling that we've only scratched the surface of something truly unique and groundbreaking.
And a question. If AI can help us create the unimaginable, what are the true limits of human creativity in this age of intelligent machines?
That's a great question, and one that we'll all be grappling with as art and technology continue to evolve. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Gibbercore, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep creating.